Competitive bodybuilding is a sport that takes extreme dedication. We are going to take you through the lives of these athletes, intense workouts, dietary struggles, and lifestyle commitment. Experience the challenges they face with their family, coaches, and work. This is Angles Health and Fitness TV.
On this episode of Angles Health and Fitness TV, you will meet Tammy Kites, Stormy Banner, and Helen Schneider, all competing in the same women's physique class.
When I have friends that tell me, hey Miles, my wife wants to compete, and by the way, majority of our athletes, I'm going to say they're 33.4 years old with 2.5 kids and have a garage, 1 3/4 garage. I'm being a little silly, but what I mean is it's average, the average person, what you consider average. It's the mom and dads out there. Really, it's usually, I would say the average age is in the mid to upper 30s. With that is about family. So when I have friends that say, hey, my wife wants to start competing in figure or bikini or fitness, whatever it may be, or hey, my husband wants to do men's physique or bodybuilding, I say, time out. Wait a minute. Before we do this, we got to get our priorities straight. And number one priority is your family is above everything. How is this competition going to affect your family?
Hello, my name is Stormy Weber and I am a national level physique competitor. I've been competing for about 6 years now. I started off in figure and currently moved to physique last year. I've always been a very athletic person, grew up playing softball, soccer, that type of thing, and when I turned 20 years old, I started working out at the gym, got a job at Bally's, and I was teaching classes there, kickboxing, and I met a lot of bodybuilders and a lot of people that were in competing. And so I thought about it for a while and contemplated and started building muscle and working out a lot harder than I had before. And then I had one of my children and put it to the side for a while. And he started playing football with Miles Newsell's son, and Miles saw me and said, hey, I think that you should compete. And I said, okay. When I first started competing, I did it all on my own. I thought that I had the knowledge and the background from being healthy to do well. I didn't do too bad. I started out in figure, like I said, and I placed 6th my very first competition. And I kind of just watched a lot of stuff on YouTube, Googled a lot of stuff on what competitors eat, that type of thing, and just played with my body a little bit. The second competition, I did the same thing. And I had placed 6th again, and I had realized that I needed help.
Coming up next, meet Tammy Kites, and later, we will meet Helen Schneider.
Hi, my name is Tammy Kites. I'm a national competitor for physique. I'm actually a personal trainer, and when people tell me they want to compete, the first question I have for them is, do they have a support team? Because if your spouse isn't on it with you, it's not going to happen. It's extremely difficult. It takes away from a lot of family functions. Things that you would usually be able to do, you can't do because you can't miss a workout. Obviously, you're not eating birthday cake or going out to dinner in a lot of places. So it's hard on the whole family. Preparation for the contest includes a lot of things. Basically, it's not only your diet, but it's your lifestyle. It's making sure that you get all your workouts in. The diet can be the hardest part simply because you do have to eat 6 times a day. Meals have to be extremely specific as far as how much protein you're getting, how many carbs you're getting, and basically that you're drinking somewhere between 64 and 80 ounces of water a day. So it's basically a full-time job just eating, making sure you're eating the right stuff. And it's hard because if you've ever dieted before, of course, as soon as you say diet, everything you want is off your diet. Basically, when you're competing, your workouts have to be intense, and it's basically no matter what you're doing, whether it's weight or it's reps, when you think you can't do one more thing and you can't push any harder, you have to push that much harder. Go to the gym and hit it so hard that when you leave, you got nothing left. And normal people come into the gym, they have a good workout, but they're energized, they feel good when they're done. My workouts and competitors' workouts have to be intense. It has to, when you think you can't do any more, you got to do a little bit more because you got to get everything you can out of that muscle. It's not just legs, or not just arms, or not just chest. It's got to be whatever you're working, you've got to get everything out of it. And it's hard, and that's why it's not for everybody. Most people don't want to work that hard. They don't want to go in the gym and hit it that hard. So I'm going to say it's probably less than 5% of the population that really, they think they may want to compete, but when they find out what it's really all about, they really don't.
Hi, I'm Helen Schneider. I'm 39 years old. I'm just starting my second year competing as a women's physique competitor in bodybuilding. More of a personal, I guess, interest, something I'd always admired over the years, and watched on TV, watched the bodybuilding shows, and I'd never actually been to a show, and I had the opportunity finally to go to one locally, and had been trying to get into a health change for myself, and it was a great opportunity to go and actually see it and firsthand. And I had the opportunity from that point to enjoy it so much seeing the show that I wanted to learn more about it and see if that was something I could actually do, and make it a personal goal for myself to possibly do that myself someday, that it didn't seem so far out of reach at that point. So I actually was able to help backstage for one of the shows. A mutual friend helped with the production, or helped with the expediting of the show, so I was able to help and just be around it, be involved in it, see the actual competitors backstage, and see that kind of energy and camaraderie between the athletes and everything, you know, leading up to that. So I also, from there, was able to go to a judging clinic that was offered to learn more about the sport and you know, what class I might actually be best suited for. And so kind of a combination of those things all fell into place, and I was in a point in my life where I actually was changing. Personally, I had been overweight, not very active, and just didn't put a lot into myself for a while. So after I quit smoking and kind of just started back into the gym, and it was really just the treadmill, just being active, getting moving again, that kind of started at least the health change for me. And so since I had been on that path and tried a couple different things, I'd done a lot of things the wrong way over the years, yo-yo dieting, not eating enough, eating too much, not eating all day, eating everything at night. So everything kind of went into play when I had started losing weight the right way at the gym, but just didn't know, I guess, all I needed to know about the nutrition and food that went into being a healthy way to lose weight. So glad that I had made those changes, and when the opportunity came up to go see the shows and kind of participate and learn a little bit more about how you prepare for one, and had mutual friends that I was able to learn a little bit more from, I had taken what I had been through with just what my knowledge was at the gym, and you know, trying different things. I had tried working with a trainer at one point, and I felt a little bit scared, like I wasn't ready for that, so I kept trying to do things a different way, almost like it was too big of a commitment. But I also tried doing things the wrong way for a long time too, and you know, I lost the weight, and I liked how I looked. I was skinnier, I was thinner. But you know, even trying some cross training and kickboxing, you know, classes and stuff, and trying to do that for 6 months, just to lose the weight. Everything was about losing the weight. And so when I had that opportunity to go and actually see a show, and I learned it wasn't so much about losing the weight, it was about eating, and it was about the nutrition and actually training your body a certain way.
Coming up next, see how Joshua and Stormy Banner manage preparing themselves together for a competition.
Do not sacrifice your kids' soccer games or football, or like my son, wrestling. Number one sport of the way, wrestling. Sorry, bodybuilding fans, but I'm just kidding. But anyway, it's about the family. Put them first. This should always be something that should be fun for you to do on the side, something the whole family get involved with. And I've seen way too many people get involved in these shows, put their family in the back burner, and that really, really scares me. These are just competitions, guys. That's all they are. The most important thing in life is God and family. That's number one above everything.
Dieting with your significant other, lots and lots of patience, because you'll see like things on Facebook or t-shirts that say, excuse, you know, the things I said while I was dieting, or because when you diet, you're uncomfortable. You're taking things away that you need, like carbs. Carb depleting is probably the single most uncomfortable feeling, because you need carbs. Carbs, I mean, they fuel your brain so you can think. You start forgetting things like, you know, where I put my keys, my sunglasses, my gym bag, like literally forget things because your brain is not getting enough carbs to function. So you get agitated real easy, you're hungry, and you want to eat everything that you've been allowed to eat forever, but now you can't. So you get agitated really easy, and if you're both dieting at the same time for the same show, you're both eating the exact same thing, and it's rough, but we toughed it out. You know, at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I'm dieting, you're dieting, you get in these huge arguments, and then at the end of you get done with the argument, and you look at each other, and it's like, I hate dieting, you know, and you kind of laugh it off, and the next day is going to be an argument, and you just know that that's why. It's not really because you don't like each other, it's because you don't like the fact that you're eating fish 6 times a day. You know, it's not their fault, it's your own fault. You're putting yourself through this. I don't think that I would have done as well in these shows had I not had a girlfriend who was actually a competitor as well, because she knows what I'm going through, because she's been doing this for 6 years, being it's my first year. So I was freaking out, and she's like, you have to expect this is how it's going to be, you know, you just get past it. And I mean, I don't suggest dieting at the same time for the same show, but which I don't think we're going to do that again. I think we're going to split our shows up so she can be my brain while I'm depleted, and I can be hers while she's depleted, and she can be my zen while I'm freaking out.
Good and bad, I'm sure, as he'll probably tell you himself. Last year when I competed by myself and he was by my side helping me, he was my training partner, he pushed me through everything, but he didn't take it as serious as I did, because he didn't understand how hard it was to put your body through what you do to actually get where you need to be. He would tease me a lot with food, and when I couldn't eat, and eat it in front of me, and you know, leave it on the counter, bread and whatnot. So this past year, I had been asking him, because I thought that he had what it took to be a competitor himself, and he was so into it, always talking about it, and finally talked him into competing. I originally wanted him to compete in physique because he's drop dead gorgeous, and I thought that he would do very well with his looks along with his physique. Once again, Matthew Mitchell came along and refused that Joshua was physique, and so he started training with us as a bodybuilder. It was good in a lot of reasons, because we pushed each other through workouts and through dieting, but it did cause a lot of conflicts between us as well when you're dieting with your other half, because you're tired, you're taking care of children, you're trying to work, you're trying to train. So for us to get through this was a blessing, and I told him I would do it again. It will be a while before we do it again together. He says we'll never do it again together.
Coming up next, 3 athletes and only 1 first place trophy. Find out who wins next.
It's nerve-wracking. It's extremely scary. It's I think that, in my opinion, that's the hardest part. I love the workout. I don't mind the diet. The stage fright is what absolutely is my hardest thing to overcome, and it still is. I still have to work at it, because it is. You're standing there in probably the least amount of clothing you've ever been in your life, and you're waiting to be judged. You know, it's and I think for most people it's probably true, but you're always your own worst critic. So to me, when I'm walking off stage, I'm looking at everybody else going, man, I hope I look that good, you know, because I don't know. And then it's more when you stand back and you get to see the pictures. I think in general, most people are kind of your own worst critic. You look at yourself and you can always pick out your flaws. You know, you always know what your flaws are, where somebody else can look at you and they don't see it. So I can't say I've ever walked off stage and felt like, okay, I got that one. I've always walked off stage and gone, oh man, I hope it was better than I thought.
To know somebody that I was going to be competing with, and to know her as a person, you know, great person. And when you're competing on stage, I think you are getting to that point, it would be great to win, it'd be great to place, but am I better than I was last time? And that was my biggest thing going into it. You know, yeah, I'd really like to get a trophy, but you know, I could see myself doing better, and I think that's what drove me, and seeing somebody who'd been in it for a few years and how her body had changed and everything she was able to attain, that made it that much more attainable for me as well. And I just knew if I kept with it, I would still get better. So having that support of a teammate, even though we were on the same team competing, in the same class, I'm still competing against myself, when I step on stage, even though she's right there with me. And so it's kind of an odd combination of both, because you want to be successful in both for different reasons. But it was nice to have somebody there with you as a teammate to support you on a day that maybe I wasn't able to work as hard. If Stormy was going to be there, that was going to step up my game, at the gym that day too, because I wanted to work just as hard. If that was what I wanted, I could see from her also what I needed to do.
Surprisingly, it's extremely friendly. Most of the time, and even with Stormy and I, you kind of push each other and compliment each other, and we work off that energy. I think most competitors really, you think you'd be kind of, not wanting to talk to them or not be nice. It's actually the exact opposite. We're all in the same boat. We're all standing there feeling a little insecure, a little unsure of how things are going to go. So I think that tends to push you a little bit closer, and it makes it kind of a friendly competition.
Pretty much, the Mesa shows are 2-day shows. You have to wait till the next day to know your placing, but protocol usually is if you get first call-outs, you know that you're around about top 5. So we both knew that we had top 5 and that we would be performing the next day. I think my worst fear isn't actually getting on stage and competing against the other girls. I kind of get a high out of that. I love it. It's the actual individual routine that I'm not so crazy about, because I don't put a lot of time into it. I put more time into my workouts and my posing than I do dancing around on the stage. So for me, that was a little different. I think I stuck my tongue out at Matthew behind the curtain because I had totally forgot my routine. Everyone says that it didn't look like I did, so I think I pulled it off okay.
Find out who wins next.
It does go very quick. I think the hardest thing sometimes is you're looking out, you're wanting to smile, you're thinking of all those things. Everything is engaged. You're trying to, hold all of your muscles in, and everything's tight, and you're holding and you have your pose how it's supposed to be, and you're listening to make sure that you're hearing the call outs, to make sure that you're turning and doing the moves that you're supposed to do, or the actual poses that you're supposed to do, and turning when you're supposed to with the rest of your class. So I think that nerve-wracking part it went really well, but it's also very nerve-wracking because it goes so quickly. You don't want to miss a call or hear or feel like you're delayed in your turns and hitting your poses the same with everyone else. So there's a little bit of low music that's usually playing, and the call-outs are coming, so you're just trying to pay attention to make sure that you're hearing them and doing exactly what you need to. But the whole process actually goes very quickly. It's exciting, but it goes really quick. It seems like in some ways you're slow motion, like it's taking forever to actually be able to get off stage, and at the same time, you're hearing your calls and it's going very quickly, and you're turning, and before you know it, you're waving off and you're walking off stage, and it's like, wow, I did it. I think that's the first thing you feel is I did it. I made it through the mandatories, and you feel good because you went up and no matter what, you did your best. And even right then, I think you start questioning what I could do better, or seeing if somebody got a picture and seeing what you might be able to change or do differently. But I think in general everything went really well. I was really proud with the positions and poses that I was able to pick. They were a little different than the first year. Again, as your body changes and working with your posing coach or your actual trainer, you're able to maybe try different positions or turns. Even though they're mandatories, there's a certain way that might look best for you. There's slight variations that you can do. So every year that you continue to train or that your body changes, there's different poses. As your legs come in better, you can try something different. Kind of an interesting transition that I'm one of those people now, in a very great way, that I feel that some of those women and people or the other trainers that are there will come up and introduce me just because I've had that transition, for myself in life, that I might look how I do now, but I did used to weigh 220 pounds, and I didn't exercise, and I didn't have a healthy lifestyle. But if I can do it and quit smoking and do this, even if it's not that stepping on stage is your goal, but when you're at the gym and I see somebody who looks athletic or looked like they were a competitor when I first went in there, I was so self-conscious, and it was like they're there too to look the way they do. They have to work at it too. And there were still teammates that were competing, to wait to find out how they placed in the show that night. So there's still a lot of excitement, and I wouldn't say that if the disappointment is there, it's only in you know, I'm going to have to see what I can do better next time, or I know what I need to do different for next time. But you definitely have that excitement. It doesn't make me not want to compete again, to think that I didn't place top 5. If anything, it just kind of fueled that excitement to see what comes next, and to be able to celebrate and be happy for someone and excited that, you know, that they've gotten to get to that point. And it didn't happen overnight, and they had to work for it too.
Please don't let me be number 5. That's about the only thing I was thinking. But I mean, it's, you know, the top 5, that means you did good. And that's, you know, you're standing there and everybody's wondering where you placed. You don't really know. But at that point, you can kind of breathe, because at least you know you placed. 1 would be good, but, you know, I know my first thought was I don't want to be number 5. And then after number 5 got called, I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to be number 4 either. And I did place 3rd, so that was good. I was happy with that. You know, for me, it's, and I'm extremely competitive, so for me what it is, I can't wait to see the pictures, because I'm going to tear apart everything I don't like, and I'm going to fix it, and I can't wait till the next one.
I felt very confident, I felt very good, my body came in really well, and when I went on stage myself, saw the rest of the girls with me, there was some good girls with some competition there, got a little nervous, but got first call outs, got moved right to the middle, stayed there the whole time, so I pretty much knew that I'd take 1st or 2nd, and was very, very ecstatic about that, very excited. I felt that I dialed in really well. I felt really good, and I mean, of course you get a little nervous because there are some good girls in there making sure, but the way I felt and the way I looked compared to everyone else, I thought that I had pulled off a 1st place again. You get a little nervous when they go 5, 4, 3, and then there's just 2 of you standing there and you're waiting and waiting for them to tell you, you know, who your overall is. And when they call the other girl's number for 2nd place and you're standing there by yourself, it's a pretty amazing feeling.
On the next Angles, we will meet Eddie Loper and Melissa Walker.